Hi everyone, this is Jennifer Escalera of the Mystic Living School, and today I have a special guest. His name is Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and he's here today to talk to us, share, enlighten us with what it's been like to be a practitioner, and if there's any tips or resources that you could share with us today, that would be awesome. So welcome, Anthony, for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jennifer. Good to see you.
Yes, you as well. So
Everybody.
hi. So let's get down to it. So if you could tell us a little bit about your background, what you do, how you got into the type of work that you do.
Well, originally, I studied as an energy healer, became an energy healer. Chi, prana, that sort of thing, Eastern medicine, the subtle energy body, and I did that. And it seems like as soon as I did that, guides and spirits, which I didn't have any clue about, started speaking to me and asking me to do other things. Now, I'm not somebody. I was a biker. I was a musician. I was not a tree hugger. So it was a little strange for me because an ex-girlfriend of mine said to me one day, "You should become an energy healer." She was listening to my side of a conversation with somebody I sponsor in the Anonymous, as an Alcoholics Anonymous. She said, "You should become an energy healer." I was like, "I don't know what that is." She said, like Reiki. I'm like, "I don't know what that is." And I sought it out and I found it and I wasn't impressed. I went and, checked out a school, Hawaiian Heart Institute. And then I was given a healing session by that same woman with somebody who was a teacher and a student of that school. And that conversation is the reason we're having this conversation today. That healing is the reason we're having this conversation today. That was quite a few years ago. And I've been able to say yes to the repair of my lineage. I'm sober 28 years, and it was the sobriety that was the tipping point for the repair of the lineage in my family. And it's funny because I was talking to somebody last night. I said, the buck stopped here. This is where the buck, fearlessness is deer medicine. This is where it stopped. And I found a book, It Calls You Back, by Louis Rodriguez, I think. Him and his wife owned Tia Chuchas and Silmar Cultural Center.
Oh, okay.
And the book talked about Sweat Lodge. And he lived in Highland. He talked about living in Highland Park, and he talked about living in San Fernando, where I was born in San Fernando. And where my healing training took place was in San Fernando, even though the school was in Studio City. And in fact, where I got my training, it took place at a place called the Poverello Retreat Center, which used to be the Poverello School. It was a kindergarten school in 1967, where I went as a 5-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Where my wounds originated.
Yes.
Well, one of the places.
Yeah.
I was slapped. They yanked my arm. You have a little boy. You wouldn't treat your little boy this way. I was pinched. I was pulled. My ears were pulled. My hair was pulled. Travieso. I was called a troublemaker, and even by my family, And so I had to make a decision when I saw that steep driveway, and I realized that's where I was going. I had to suck it up, buttercup, and I went and I did it. And it's changed my life so much so that I'm able to feel the transformation in my heart right now, this very moment. All the transformations, because it wasn't just one big one, one big explosion, and Nagasaki is nuked. No, it was little transitions and transformations and transmutations and saying yes to climbing up on the catapult and being catapulted into a fourth dimension and now the fifth dimension of my life. So repairing the lineage and saying yes to what the guides asked me. I mean, I'm a mentor. I'm a teacher. I'm a philosopher. I'm a guy with a GED that I got at 51 years old, right? So anybody who follows me is probably going to scratch his head and his butt at the same time and go, what?
Awesome.
How did this guy,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of people out there doing what I do, and they've got certificates and master this, and
That's me.
they've written books and blah blah blah. And it's funny that the guides have given me to say in the last few weeks, there are no books to teach you what it is that I do. I am the book. I have returned to the oral tradition.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
so returning to the oral tradition, when I tell you that a transmutation has taken place, and you experience the emotion that I have behind that, or with that, not behind it.
Yeah.
People get to drop their shoulders and go, oh, and they have that experience with me. They don't know why they're having it, but I know why they're having it.
Right. Right. Right.
So they're, I always say, I am the tree. I am a tree that's rooted and fruited, and and I extend my branches into the heavens, and the birds of the air nest in my branches and eat of my fruit. The birds of the air being the people that listen to me. What is my fruit? The experience of how I got from point A to point B, and you say, me too, you too, me too. And the experience is important because there's a lot of people who do a lot of things and they have no experience in what they're doing. It's all heady bullshit.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's so a psychological warfare at its finest, and I take people into the body. I don't want to know about your thinking because I'm watching what your best thinking has done. You have a boob job. Oh, you have a broken heart and you have low self-esteem, so now you have boobs, and you think every picture has to be your boobs, and you have a face,
Right.
You
Yes.
do have a face, not just boobs. People who
Right.
smoke, they
Right.
don't know how to say, can you help me? Will you love me? You hurt my feelings. I feel unloved. Any of those things that they would like to have, they don't know how. So they give themselves that thing because heart, lungs, air, I love, I'm loved. Everything that I do is about the body. And really, when people ask me what I do, I say, I am here to bring you from guru to guru. I am not a guru,
Yeah.
right? Because I want to maintain the same humble spirit that I was taught from.
Yes.
Because once I come into my ego about that, I'm out. I'm done in this work.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm here to bring you from your stinking thinking to the light of your soul. Well, where's the light of your soul? It sits in the third chakra on top of your connection of water, the second chakra. See,
Right.
everything I relate to that. And
Yeah.
also not just related to the chakras, I related to the medicine wheel of the four directions.
Yes. Yes.
And there's so much power in that. Once I get people into the understanding of how those things connect, they get to feel themselves. Or I start asking questions, or I'll put my hands on them. I have an example. I was selling drums here in Sedona at an art fair, and I saw this woman walking up, and I thought, And she came and she started talking to me. She was interested in the drums. She says, are you that guy that does the videos? I said, yeah, I'm that guy that does the videos. We start talking. And she starts talking to me about sobriety. And I'm like, just listening to her. And she says to me, why are you talking to me about sobriety? Are you sober? I said, I'm not talking to you about sobriety. You're talking about sobriety. I'm listening to you, but I just happen to be 27 years sober. And she was like, oh. And then she started talking to me, and I said, do you mind if I read you? She said, sure. So I walked over to her. I put my hand on her back, on the small of her back, over the third chakra, right between the second and the third.
Yeah.
And she had this curve in her back. I said, where's your father? And the tears came. She started to cry. She says, my father wasn't very nice. She says, when I was 3 years old, I remember waiting for him at the door, and he would come home from work and he would just push me aside. And I was like, oh, you've never been supported. And I said to her, I'm going to tell you this. I said, and this sounds like a lot of hocus pocus, but because I'm who I am, I'm what I am, I do what I do, I have to say it. I trust and fully am involved in my evolutionary, spiritual evolutionary work.
So let me ask you, how did you get to that place of being able to accept and receive? Because a big part of what I emphasize in my teaching is that I'm giving everyone a recipe, but it's up to them of what they want to do with the ingredients, the tools, the techniques, learning how to listen, learning how to be that channel, right? But
Yep.
it's really ultimately up to them, of how they want to utilize the information that I was given that I'm sharing to them now. But that also, for me, was a process that I had to go through to actually trust and also not get insecure about if I was going to be judged, right, by clients I was working on. Like, what do you mean my uncle's coming through? Or what do you mean my dad's coming through? Like, those kinds of fears. And so, how did you work through that for yourself, to be able to trust in this wisdom, in this divine sacred work that you do?
I had to be, I had to come to a place of willingness.
Really? Okay. Yes.
That is a huge
That's great.
word.
Yes, that
Uh,
is.
and it's not easily done because we
Yes.
we walk around like, our dramas and traumas are not a backpack.
Right. Yes. I know. Right.
but we treat them like one.
Yes.
If anybody has ever gone to my Facebook page or my YouTube or any of those things, I talk about this guy that used to be 238 pounds. I was 238 pounds. I'm 160 pounds now. I haven't been 238 pounds since I became an energy healer.
Mm.
There's a song. It goes like this. I remember as a little child kicking against a stone wall I built around myself. I won't give in. I won't feel guilty. I'll just rise up and I'll be myself. I'm just trying to get through. No, no, no,
Mm.
no.
Mm.
Right? I was building a defensive wall. I had built a defensive wall around myself with anger, with fear, with self-loathing, with self-hatred, with that wall of weight. Women wouldn't like me. I'm not a good-looking guy. As a teenager, we'd all go someplace, and my friends are scoring, and I'm like the wallflower, and I'm like, I had severe mommy issues, but had to become willing to look at those. And how did I become willing?
Mm-hmm.
I had to stop listening to the things that were said about me by others. I had to stop listening to the judgment. I had to stop caring about the judgment. I had to stop trying to live up to the judgment. I always say, I spent a lifetime chasing the dangling carrot of spoken and unspoken expectations.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Screw that. They keep pulling the carrot away, right?
Right.
They keep pulling the carrot away. So those people who would say you're a troublemaker at 5 years old, you're a troublemaker. You're this, you're that. In fact, I'm going to use this example. I have an aunt, my Aunt Terry, would say, even to these days, she would say, I remember when you were a little kid, you were such a troublemaker. Stop right there. Stop. See, I don't care about who I offend by what I have to say anymore, because you've offended me for a lifetime and I didn't do anything. You were the adult that was responsible when I was a child. My mother was responsible. My father was responsible. Those teachers were responsible. I wasn't responsible for being a little boy. What tools do I have, or did I have? I didn't have any tools.
Yeah.
I had the tool of flinching when I was going to be slapped or whatever, right? But I had no tools to raise myself. As I have tools now, I'm responsible now. So we're not going to no longer have this conversation about the troublemaker because you were the responsible party.
Right.
That does not go over well.
Yeah.
But they have to swallow that bitter pill because that's truth. I'm not blaming them. I'm just taking the responsibility of that's not mine and placing it in its proper place. Why do I have, hey, here's your backpack. I carried that crap around for 50 years, Jennifer.
Yeah.
50 years is a long time. But guess what?
Yeah.
55, the number 5 is the number of freedom. And that's when my life started to change. And then I became an elder at 52.
Yeah.
I really didn't even know I was an elder at 52 till I was 56. So all these things unravel and they happen because I become willing to. Now, I remember as a little child kicking against a stone wall I built around myself. The problem with that stone wall is once I got sober, I started kicking the stones out of that wall one at a time.
Mm.
That was a long, arduous process because those stones were heavy.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
they were heavy. They were shame. They were hurt. They were wounds. They were trauma. They were all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that wall, I remember as a little child kicking against a stone wall I built around myself, kept me away from you. It kept me away from God. But worst of all, it kept me away from me.
Yeah.
The stone wall of self-doubt, the stone wall of shame, of self-hatred, self-loathing, all those things are the reason I drank at 11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
11, the gateway of walking through the pillars. It's the space between the pillars that brings us together. And if there's no space between the pillars and all the pressure is put on me, there's no way for me to grow as a child. So once I started doing this work, I realized and I was willing to do what I had to do. And it was uncomfortable. There's a lot of people who, oh, I've awakened and I'm coming into myself and I've got fairy wings and I smoke pot. You smoke pot? Really? Let's talk about that broken heart that you're smoking pot. No, but it's sacred medicine. No, that's not why you're using it. Because I'm willing to call myself on the carpet for my poor decisions. I was married 3 times. I know that I was married 3 times because I had a mommy issue. Yesterday was Mother's Day. I called my mother and she was excited to hear from me and I was excited to talk to her. What a difference a 10 years makes, a year makes, a week makes, because we hold on to resentments that they're not ours to hold on to. It happened once and that was key.
Yeah.
My ex-wife, Vanessa, who is a healer, we were doing an event in La Crescenta one day and she started to speak to the women because she was molested as a child. And she said, what you have to know about things like that when they happen, when did it happen? If it happened 20 years ago, is it happening now? No. How do you feel? And they start, the emotion comes. How did you feel? What happened and how did you feel? What do you feel now? And bring them into the feelings of it, not the thinking of it. Because they've been thinking of it for a lifetime, and they're obese and they have big boobs and they spend a lot of time in the front of the mirror making themselves look pretty when they don't feel pretty. Right. The bulimic doesn't ever feel thin enough. So it's no longer happening anymore. I heard her. I heard, Anthony, those things aren't happening anymore. Use those as stepping stones to your transformation, transmutation, transition to where it is that you're going and where it is that you're doing. And I was willing, and the more I did that, the clearer the voice of creation, creator, great mother, the guides, all my relations got. Not the monkey mind, not that the chatter. Oh man, I got to get high. Oh man, you know what? Those bitches, all the grumbling and stuff that people do, not out loud. I give people who do it out loud a lot of credit. But what are you doing about it? Right? At least they're voicing that. Okay, but that's not anymore. Let's come to the brass tacks. Let's come to the microcosm. And I said this in the talk that I did the other day. Let's get to the microcosm of the microcosm of the microcosm of the why. Become willing to look at the why. Now, women are the best vessel, an example for me of letting go. Grandmother Moon, 28-day cycle, direction of the West, direction of the woman, direction of water, emotion, EMOCEAN, aho. Direction of fall, letting go of the leaves, right? Letting go of the leaves. 28-day cycle, letting go. Women are built for creation. And when there's no creation happening, there's a release valve of letting go. Men don't have that. And I say this. I ask this in groups. What do they call a penis by the way, that letting go happens in the fifth chakra, in the second chakra, the sacral,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What do they call a penis in Great Britain? You know?
A tool. I
They
don't
refer to it as a tool. Oh, yeah.
know.
Going to work.
That's the first thing.
Honey,
That's the first word that came to mind. I don't know.
um, it's called a willy.
Oh, uh-huh.
If men can come into their second chakra and really step into their williness
Mm.
of letting go,
Mm.
because they do use their penis as a tool, their willy as a tool, a tool of strength, a tool of knowledge, a tool of force, a tool of all kinds. You hear it in the outer world all the time.
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah.
You hear politicians, these people say that you would like to respect, but I can't because I hear what they say and I hear what they do, and I just can't. So you come into your willingness. Are you able to come into your willingness?
Mm.
Willingness is the biggest thing that we can have. Becoming willing is the biggest thing that we can do, because freedom comes from allowing yourself to just say,
Yeah.
I just need to unfurl this crinkle between my brow and my shoulders hurt, and I'm so tired of grinding. My teeth hurt from grinding them at night. And like, want to do
Yeah.
something about that? I can
Right.
help you with that. And
Yeah.
all you need is little bits. I always say, spoon feed people. Don't
Mm.
choke them with a bone. Don't spoon feed them with a shovel like religion does. Religions could be so much different if they didn't spoon feed you with a shovel.
Right.
Give
Right.
them some gristle, right?
Mm-hmm.
People who give kids meat, they give them a little pieces and maybe with some fat, and the kid, oh man, they got a grease all over their face, and that's the most beautiful thing. If you can
Yeah.
take yourself back to your child and
Mm-hmm.
be as a child,
Mm-hmm.
be playful as a child and not childish.
Yes.
Nobody likes childish.
Right. Right. Right.
Now, how do I get there? Oyato. Take time to listen. Listen to what? Take time to listen to Jennifer. Take time to listen to the response that happens when Jennifer asks a question and somebody is triggered by their thinking of their own, and they come into an emotional state. Pay attention to what's happening. Just listen. Oyato. Oyato is a song that was channeled to me. And it asks me to listen to the still small voice. Listen as she whispers to my heart. Listen as she whispers through the wind. Listen as she whispers through the trees. But listen,
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
listen. We don't listen.
Mm.
We're on this device and that device, and
Yeah.
we're got the music on, and the doors are open, and the neighbors are making noise. We're everywhere but here.
The distractions. Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
distraction.
Yeah.
Every time there's you probably have seen me say this. Every time there's a Mercury in retrograde. Oh, that's the big one. Oh,
All
that
right. Right. Right.
the distraction. I always say, in the full moon, don't be distracted by that. It's time to slow down, step out of the fishbowl, and look into the playing field, your playing field, and say, oh, okay. It's not a time to be pointing the finger of blame.
Yeah. Right.
Because the blame probably just stepped outside of the fishbowl.
Right.
Do not turn chicken little
Mm-hmm.
to chicken shit.
Ooh, good. Good. Good.
I
Good.
mean, that sounds funny, and I say it because it's funny, and I say a lot of things in humor that I'm dead serious about.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
one of them. Do not be distracted by the distractions of, oh, it's this fault. Oh, this is happening. No, just be still. Be right here. Be right here right now.
Mm-hmm. I like that you give that some value of listening, because I think like that, to me, what I got was the relief of not having to do anything, not forcing my mind to think, okay, what am I going to do next in this session? I'm thinking like a student. Well, I'm always a student, right? But just thinking about like, well, if I have to go through this protocol, what's the next thing? And I always emphasize, like, even though I'm giving you some type of protocol, you don't have to follow it. It's still yours to keep, right?
Yeah.
And so I like the way that listening helps to guide the person to go through the journey, because each individual that they work on, or a community that they work on, is going to have its own vibe. It's going to have its own stories. So I really wanted to expand their consciousness, expand their awareness, that don't just think black and white, or don't just think A plus B equals C. It could be something else, and I think just tuning in and listening gives them their own roadmap to be able to decide what to do next with the person that they're working on, or a group of people.
There is millions of healers,
yeah,
who like to say this, I have to work on myself. I have to heal myself before I can heal another. I say, no.
Yes. Yeah.
You will heal through the working with and of others.
Yes.
That's where your knowledge is going to come from. I met a woman from Lionheart, and I was at an event one day, and she said, Walking Crow, I have to go back to school to learn more about what I'm doing. I'm like, why? Just because I need to know. I said, the knowing doesn't come from the book. The knowing comes from the doing. The knowing comes from the being. Be in the doing and the doing of the being. And if you're willing to do that and listen and say, oh, just like I'm a drum maker. Where did I learn how to make a drum? You have one. I gave it to you.
Yes.
What? What? Rattles out of a...
And now you're rattles. Yeah.
Well, how and why? I was willing to go, okay, thank you.
I love that. Yeah.
Gratitude is a daily investment. That's
absolutely.
And I said, thank you. And I'm grateful. The more I'm grateful, the more they give me. And if anybody ever watches my timeline on Facebook, in the mornings, I sit sometimes 2, 3, 4 hours quietly, sipping my coffee in my bed, go outside, sometimes come in the office and sit. And they are constantly giving me quotes. And somebody asked me one day, a friend of mine from sobriety, Anthony, why are you always quoting yourself? I'm like, I got shit to say. I got something to say. I have something to offer. See, because I was always told that I had nothing to be quiet, go outside, shut up. Children should be seen and not heard. Now, when I had my show, the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show, it was an online radio show once a week. Every now and again, I would have a guest, but for the most part, it was Walking Crow talking about, the first chakra, grounding, and I would spend an hour, and then the second show was the second chakra. Whatever it was, I took time to talk about it, and I wasn't talking about it from the here.
Yeah.
I was talking about it from the HEAR, here.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not the HERE, the HEAR.
Yeah.
And then something starts to happen. What the heck is that? No. And what I learned was, thank you, Great Spirit. Thank you, Great Mother. Thank you, power in the direction, power in the guidance of the 4 directions, the medicine wheel. That's that phrase, and then I would say, hey, and I didn't know I was saying that till a friend of mine from New River here in Arizona said, what does hey mean? I said, what are you talking about? She said, you say that all the time. So I wrote it out. I said, it means thank you, brothers and sisters. So I thank the spirits, and I thank my brother always when I'm listening, when they're listening, when I'm engaged in the ebb and flow of the energies that I'm willing to say yes to, and willing to listen and repeat, because this is not mine. What I do is not mine.
Yes.
Right. Yes. I'm just taking it back to the oral tradition, and I say yes.
Oh, that's so
I say
beautiful.
yes after a lifetime of no's.
Yes.
And now, because of the no's, I know.
You're so wise. I love all your words.
And that's another thing. I used to. Sometimes I say something. I'm like, that is just dumb, and I start laughing at myself. But it's so brilliant.
I know. I hear you.
There's a mantra that I do, And it goes like this. And I'm going to use some rocks as a little different size rocks.
Yeah.
And so it's the peace in me is the peace in me. It's a mantra, right? I tell people, ask people, take their left hand, put it on their heart, over their heart. Take the right hand, this is duality, right?
Mm-hmm.
The left hand of divine feminine receiving. It receives a divine feminine. I live in my duality of my feminism, my divine feminism. I am the goddess as well as I'm the God, a whole. So I take my left hand, place it over my heart, and receive the beating, the first sound I ever heard in utero was the sound of my mother's heart. And thank you for being a mother, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
That is, see,
it's a blessing.
So I allow the beating of my heart, the energy to flow inward through my hand and down the wrist and down the forearm and around the elbow and up the tricep and bicep and through the shoulders and across the fish. This is all fish chakra. This is all voice, spoken or unspoken, into the right side of my divine masculine energy of giving, the direction of the east, direction of grandfather son, direction of the born and the unborn, direction of springtime, manifestation. Taking that right hand of the masculine energy and placing it right hand over left hand over heart. Taking a breath, completing the circle of love of self, exhaling, and saying these words. The peace in me is the peace in me. The peace in me is the peace in me. The peace in me is the peace in me. And the peace in me is the peace in me. And see what was happening there? They're growing exponentially. The peace, P-I-E-C-E is getting bigger. The P-E-A-C-E is getting bigger. The peace of the peace is getting bigger. Yeah. And the last line, the last two lines are the peace in you is the peace in you and the peace in us.
Beautiful.
Peace in us. I take people from the me, from the I to the you to the we. That's important. That way you're never unsupported.
Yes.
I was never supported as a child, and I want people to know, and I'm going to go back to the woman who, when I was selling drums, and she said, I don't know why I've left myself vulnerable to you. I'm telling you things that I haven't told anybody. I said, you trust me. You came here to see me, and I'm going to tell you, because you came here, because you see me, because you know my name, Walking Crow, you will always be supported by me. All you have to say is, Walking Crow, please be with me, and I will come to you. Who says that?
Right.
Maybe a Jesus, right? That says that, or things like that can be attributed to him. But I am the I am that I say I am. I'm in my fire, my fuego. I can, I will, I do, I am. My third chakra, the fire. I am manifestation. You are manifestation. Why wouldn't I say that? Why wouldn't I say I love you and I will always love you and I'm here for you? Now that woman and I, she bought a drum. We started seeing each other. We stopped seeing each other. I still love her. She still loves me. We honor each other. And all she has to do is think of me, call me in. Just like people call God in. Well, but God, how do you know what God looks like? How do you know what God is? I'm sitting in front of you.
Right.
Yeah, that's offensive to some people.
Yeah.
But there's a saying in Alcoholics Anonymous, lack of power is my dilemma. So if it's my dilemma, it's your dilemma. I say this, I quoted this phrase probably a month ago. Lack of power is my dogma. So willing to listen to stuff and say something that could be potentially controversial. I don't know why I'm willing to just sorry, and I say sorry, not sorry.
Right.
Apologize for what I say. Where did that come from? I was disempowered at 5 years old. I was disempowered again at 8 years old. I know what happened. I know why. Okay? Do I have to live as a 5 or an 8-year-old? I'm living as the 59-year-old.
Yeah.
Who has knowledge, who has the experience of a lifetime of stepping stones that I can say, here you go, Jennifer, just look down at where your feet are. Look where your feet are standing. What happened right there? Oh, how did you do that? I did this, and take another step. Just get people to take, Alcoholics Anonymous, 12 steps, right? That's
Right.
that's how they stay sober.
Right.
But, and here's my teaching. Here's another teaching that I learned about Alcoholics Anonymous and 12 steps. I couldn't stay in the rooms of the Anonymouses. I am not an alcoholic. I was an alcoholic. Right. Right? And their book tells me, and it tells everybody, that we 100 people have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. I am not hopeless, and I was never hopeless. I was helpless. I sought help, and now I'm hopeful more so, and I'm helpful. So I'm no longer an alcoholic, because if I keep speaking to the lower vibration, what do I create in my life? Well, what do you want to create in your life? Do you want to be a drug addict? Well, no. Right. But I got to go to meetings. Well, you go to meetings so you don't have to go to meetings anymore. And I will not let them tell me, you're going to drink. You're going to drink. Right. So-and-so drink. I don't care about so-and-so. I don't, I used to go to meetings in Los Angeles, and I see people with 20 plus years come in looking like hobos. And I had to run to a meeting. I feel like I'm going to drink. I was like, hey man, you know what? Why don't I, after the meeting, I take you to the liquor store and buy you a 12-pack, because you need to drink. Right. Did you call your sponsor? Have you read the book? Are you sponsoring somebody? Did you pick up the phone? What are you doing? You're looking like a hobo. Why don't you take a bath? Why don't you brush your teeth? Why don't you put on some clean clothes? How do you develop esteem? By doing esteemable things. Right. Right. What? Now, there's a constant ebb and flow of us like scratching our head and our butts at the same time. Oh man, how am I going to do this? Yeah. And I say, and it's simply, it sounds really stupid. Say yes. Say yes to you. Yeah. How many years have you said no to you? How many years did they say no to you? How many years does that have to go on? Are you sick? Wait, are you really sick and tired of being sick and tired? Really? Yeah. No, really. Yeah. I get a little sarcastic sometimes, but it's because I became willing, Jennifer, to put myself on the spot. Oh, spotlight. Oh, interrogation time. Right. Myself with the hose or whatever. Not really, but I was willing to go through it. Not awakening and coming into the who and what you have always been, and who and what you are right here, right now, is not for the weak. It's not for the meek of heart. It's for, and you're out there. They're all out there. It's for the badass that's willing to say, man, that was hard, but I love my mother anyways. I love my father anyways. I love my brothers and sisters, even though they don't sound like they love me. That's not my problem. That's not my issue and its issue. Yeah, yeah. I have to let go of my constant judgment. And I quoted this last week. The difference between judgment and discernment is the depth of my wound. Not your wound, my wound. Right. So I'm able to let go and see all this information. It's like, did you ever know me like this in Los Angeles? In this way? Yes, I mean, you're always so wise, and you always have so much to offer. You make connections, you go through the evolution. Yeah. Well, I like to say devolution. Devolution, yeah. I have become willing to climb onto the catapult to be launched into the fifth dimension, but I don't have to pull the cord. I just have to climb on. Yeah. All I have to do is like, I'm going for a ride. I got the e-ticket. I got the Crow, the CW ticket, the Crow walking ticket, WC ticket. Awesome. And people, for those who are listening, for your students, it doesn't have to be that hard. It will get difficult. Walking through the emotions is difficult. It's tearing off the Band-Aid, and sometimes pouring salt into the wound. But if you can get through the feeling, the healing of the feeling of the issues in the tissues, because that's where the emotional state lives. This is where the four elements of the earth live. They live in earth, water, fire, air, heart, lungs, air. I love, I'm love. And you can step into a place of loving yourself from your second chakra to your heart through your fire, through esteem, by doing esteemable things, not necessarily for somebody else, but for yourself.
Yeah.
How many people say, you know, I'm on a diet. I can't have any ice cream. How is denying myself things that I don't need to, you know, I'm a diabetic, but guess what? The other day yesterday I had ice cream. I didn't eat the whole gallon.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because that points out the depth of my wound too. Oh, Anthony, wait a minute. Are you or aren't you? Right? I have to ask myself. So we don't have to make it difficult.
Yes.
Our dramas and our traumas are not trophies to carry around.
Right, exactly.
We carry around.
Right. There's an identification around that. Yeah.
I said, no, you are not that.
Right.
It's like the Buddhists say, I am a drop of the water. I am a drop in the ocean. I am not the ocean. But then I become the ocean. I become part of that ocean. I am not the complete ocean.
Yeah.
Many become that complete ocean. Oh,
yeah.
It takes a lot of pressure off me. I'm trying to, you know, and
exactly.
I was talking with my friend Jennifer about holding a container all weekend long. I was holding the container of energy for that talk I did on Saturday. For I did a live thing on for Beltane Unity Festival in Ireland yesterday. It was a worldwide event.
Nice.
But I was able to come on and do ceremony and sing medicine songs for people that had never seen me before in their life. So I had this container that I've been holding since actually Friday. And yesterday I said, you know, Jen, I'm a little tired today. I need to just relax and just chill out. And I didn't leave the house. I never left. I took care of myself. She fed me.
Awesome. Yeah.
One coffee, blah, blah, blah. And it's the self-care of allowance of the denial, the old denial. No, you can't do that. No, you know, I was 238, but I'm not 238 now, right? So I can eat whatever I want because I don't have to worry about feeding the wound, feeding the hurt, feeding the shames. Shame. Be shamed about.
This is all so beautiful, Anthony. I so appreciate all of this wisdom and being able to take us through this journey of this collective information, this collective nature. I love how you incorporate just naturally, you know, your understanding of the power of the medicine wheel, the power of the four directions and the elements and us as beings. So you just quickly encompassed everything that I've been teaching for the course, for the certification program. So I'm glad that you were able to bring that into this discussion today, because I know my students will understand exactly what you've been talking about: right, left, feminine, masculine energy.
You asked me a simple question, but there really, honestly, there isn't a short answer.
No, I know.
Because I would leave you completely empty and unfulfilled if I gave you a short answer.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. Right.
We'll take a class with someone. Take my this. Come to Sedona and, you know.
Yes.
People come, they come. If they don't, they don't. But guess what? Jennifer's in LA. Go see Jennifer. Yeah. Jennifer. Right. There's no real short answer. The answers are long, but the answers are. There was a quote that I quoted, and it was about the autonomous nature of being in the fluidity between the pillars. The pillar being you and I. Yeah. The pillar being you and your boyfriend, you and your son. Right? Yeah. The gateway to 11. Right. 11, the gateway. Stepping through that, stepping into that autonomous nature as self, but with your help or my help, but not becoming me or you.
Right.
Still maintaining your autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why that was. See, here's the emotion. That was given to me about 3 weeks ago.
Mm.
No sooner did I pen that I get a call from the guy who was on the call, Lloyd, yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
He calls me and says, I would like you to do a 1 hour talk. Do you have an idea what you'd like to talk about? And that's what I talked about. He's like, oh my gosh, okay.
Awesome.
And I don't have anything written down other than my quote in front of me. And I spoke an hour about the fluidity of my autonomous nature between the pillars, and the pillars being my job, you, the rest of the world, COVID-19,
right.
the mask, the gloves, the toilet. How do I move between all those things and maintain a sense of peace and calm and well-being? Well, well-being lives in my root chakra. I am rooted in the root. I'm the tree that didn't get knocked down by the 4 winds. What are your 4 winds? There's 1,000 of them, right? I might lose a branch. I'm definitely going to lose my leaves and fall, but I'm still here. I'm still standing. And the nature of the tree is to do, and I'm going to end with this one thing. The nature of the tree is to be and teach us how to be selfless. It gives the birds of the air and the ground animals protection. It gives fruit and food to those in us. Miss Grandmother Tree, I want you to make a drum. Can I have a branch? I didn't ask for the whole tree. And she says yes. Grandmother Tree, I want to build my house. Can I have a branch? Yes, my son. Take a branch. Grandmother Tree never sees herself. She sees the sun, the moon, the stars, and the skies, and she sees all the other trees. But she never sees herself, and she reaches out and she reaches up. And she constantly gives us what it is that we need. We are the trees. We are the trees in the grove that need to be in the groove of selflessness. Selflessness. And I'm grateful to Creator and people like you who come to me and say, Anthony, will you do this? Sure.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's like, wow, how did that happen?
Yeah.
I don't expletive know. Like, here, let me tell you this. Right.
And
there's so much there. When can I start writing that book and finish it?
Right.
And the book isn't about how you can. The book is about how I did. And, I can relate to that, or I can't relate to that. It's just a reference. It's not a how-to. I don't want to be a how-to. Because I'm not.
So how can our students stay in contact with you, learn more about what you do, or book a session with you, a drum?
Well, they can find me on www.sacreddrummedicine.com, or they can reach out to me at walkingcrow@sacreddrummedicine.com, or they can find me on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, Walking Crow Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine, which has over 410 videos on it now, which I'm very proud of because that took me about 3 years.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And I'm like, and the way that started was I started not with 400 videos. I started with 1. And I trusted myself. I just trusted me. So they can get a hold of me in those ways if they want to book a session or they want to come to Sedona and make drums with me. They can reach out. They can watch the Facebook feed of the events page, the events, which is always up to date. I can't say that about my website, but the events page on Facebook is up to date. For Anthony Rodriguez, J. Rodriguez, Walking Crow in parentheses. I use my personal page more than I use my business page because that's where I feel most comfortable. That's where I live. I live in me, not in that. So they can find me that way. If they'd like to have a remote long distance session, I do mentoring, I do drum healings, I do energy healings, and we do what I call the unraveling of the sweater of the subtle energy body.
Very cool. Thank you, Anthony. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're
The
welcome.
time. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thanks, everybody.